Let us commence la video. Obsession movie breakdown, every hidden detail you missed. That is the video we're going to be watching today. If you haven't watched Obsession, it is a horror movie, but not your cliche jump scare horror movie. It does have jump scares, but it's not what you would think it is. It's actually a really well-made movie, in my opinion. If you haven't already, book your ticket, watch it. I'm not sponsored. I just really enjoyed it. But we're going to be going over every hidden detail you missed about this movie. So spoilers if you haven't watched it already. We're going to be watching spoilers about the movie. So tune off if you haven't. Or if you don't care, continue watching. But yeah, me and Miss Vekich, we went last Thursday. And the movie's been out already for like 4 weeks at that time. It was still packed. We had like the last 2 seats that were like semi-good. So the movie's still hype. It's still popping. Rightfully so.
New rock stars, I'm Eric Voss, and this is a breakdown of Obsession, the new horror film.
So let's see what we missed. I'm not gonna lie, there might be a lot of things in this video that I know of after watching, because after I watched the movie, I saw so many things on TikTok and Twitter that like went over like hidden things you've already missed, or like second watches and like just Easter eggs, whatever you want to call it.
Barker made this wonderfully haunting film about toxic love that's layered and deeper meaning and incredible attention to detail in the visuals. So in this video, I'm gonna go through this film scene by scene for all the little details that you might have missed. Now, if you are new to this New Rockstars channel,
the spoilers once again, tune off if you haven't watched it, if you care.
Might be better known for covering big nerdy franchises like Marvel, DC, and Star Wars, but we also try to analyze films like this that you might be even more passionate about. So I highly recommend you check out our breakdowns of Backrooms, Project Hail Mary, One Battle.
I haven't watched any of these, man.
Obsession begins with
except
this
Sinners
by Bear, short for Baron Bailey, played by Michael Johnston. He's in a diner rehearsing his love confession that he wants to share with his friend and coworker Nikki, testing it on this very polite waitress. There has been much discourse about how Obsession is a story about toxic male loneliness, or even perhaps part of an incel horror trend akin to The Menu and Don't Worry Darling. But director Cory Barker said that he started with an idea of what happens when two people are obsessed with each other and what horrifying destructive and self-destructive lengths they would go to in order to feed that hunger. Bear's affection for Nikki, though, is one-sided, an obsession seen from afar, and not an organic affection born out of mutual chemistry. So you'll notice this film opens with sappy romantic dialogue, romantic music.
For those of you that have watched this, would you consider Ian like the villain as well?
Warm vibes and lighting, and even this pleasant setting to make us think we're watching some kind of mumblecore romance. Starting us
like when I first started, my first watch through, I didn't realize, I thought Ian was just like a hollow head like frat guy, and I didn't realize he was actually trying to like sabotage Bear the whole time because of what him and Nikki were already doing.
Sense of sap and security, when in reality the behavior we are witnessing is actually pretty troublesome. Like what he literally says is, I feel like I'm coming apart. I think about you all the time, Nikki. I try not to. You're in every song I listen to. I mean,
yeah, he got real deep. This is supposed to be someone that you're saying you like them and you want to try and date them, but he is quite literally obsessed.
Cory Barker told Collider's Perry Nemiroff,
and not in a good way.
It was actually a reshot opening. The film's original opening shot was going to mirror the closing shot.
The opening shot of this movie was on Bear, and then we tilt the camera down and we see the dead cat, and then we keep tilting and we see that he's watching a romance movie on the TV. So that was the opening shot, which obviously mirrors the very, very last shot of the movie. So it took me a long time to give that up. I was like, no, like this is the, you know, it's a bookend, you know, it's first shot of the movie, last shot of the movie. But ultimately,
I mean, that makes sense, because the transition from the diner scene to the cat one was like, it almost didn't seem to flow. Like it felt kind of, I guess, not natural. But the diner scene is actually pretty good, because it plays into another part of Ian that you don't find out till later in the movie, of him literally like trying to sabotage Bear. And also it plays into Bear being way too obsessive. Like the whole thing that he practiced on the waitress was him getting vulnerable, but it was supposed to be him confessing his feelings to Nikki in a way to say, I like you, I want to try to date you, I want to see if we can work things out. But he almost wrote it as if he was like a parasocial Twitch chatter in a Ludwig stream.
Ultimately, we've discovered that having him kind of giving that monologue at the beginning at the diner and kind of getting a little know about his character, it was better.
Bear says, "I would choose you over everything." And when the waitress kind of melts at that, Ian cuts it off and calls it cringe. It's the one kind of romantic thing that Bear said, and Ian wants to make him feel bad about it so that he doesn't actually use it on Nikki, whom Ian is secretly sleeping with. Ian is also the one to bring up the idea of being playfully mean.
Okay,
Nikki,
so this already explains it.
Nikki, the teasing nickname that Nikki hates, because Ian actually knows it would sabotage Bear to ever say that. That's why he also pushes so hard for Bear to wait until the right time to tell his feelings to Nikki, knowing that the right time will probably never come. Bear comes home to find his poor cat Sandy has died from ingesting a bottle of Oxy that he wrote "do not eat" on the bottom of, a bottle that was prescribed to his deceased grandmother Barbara, and a bottle that will come back at the end of the movie. In his bedroom, photo booth photos of this trivia team, the Bass Clef Bandits, since they all work at the music store, shows a blurry one with Bear looking like he's dragging Nikki in with him, and then another one of Bear smiling while Nikki just kind of frowns and flips a.
These photos are kind of creepy, dude. Like, just the quality of them, I didn't even, like, dude, they look uncanny. This bottom photo, that looks really weird. And I just realized, yeah, I didn't even realize this. This is something I didn't even see going over it. Nikki and Ian are, like, face to face. Like, buddy.
Finger, and then another one with Bear frowning as Nikki is dragged in Ian, and she's smiling again. Bear totally fails to see that Nikki Bear frowning.
Oh my god.
And then another one of Bear.
It almost looks like Bear dragged her into the photo booth to take a picture with her. And then she doesn't really care for him.
Smiling.
And then she brings in Ian. Dude, I don't care, dude. These photos are uncanny. Ugh.
While Nikki just kind of frowns and flips a finger. And then another one with Bear frowning as Nikki is dragged in Ian, and she's smiling again. Bear totally fails to see that Nikki does not see him the way he sees her, and she really just wants to have fun with her friends and with Ian. Bear ogles Nikki's.
For those of you that have watched this, do you think Nikki had any feelings before she changed for Bear? Because it's supposed to be, I think it's the way that the director said it was supposed to be acted out as if it can go 50-50. And the only thing I think could ever be 50-50 is I think when they're talking to each other, when Bear drops her off, she confronts him and says, "Do you like me?" And then he pussies out and says, "As a friend," and she almost had like a disappointing pause, and then said like, "Okay." Like, that was the only thing that kind of told me, like, because even before that she said, "My crushes never know I have a crush on them. I keep it really secret. I keep it hard to tell." But then that was like the only telling thing, was that she had like a disappointment in her tone change when he said, "I'd like you as a friend," because he pussied out.
Instagram, where she self-deprecates that her selfie looks like it was shot on a flip phone, and of course he liked the post, but it's also liked by Cooper Tomlinson, the actor who plays Ian. Nikki's full name is Nikki Freeman.
Wow.
An ironic nod to the fact that she spends most of this movie not at all free, but
Nikki Freeman, that's crazy.
trapped in a kind of purgatory state. To replace the crystal necklace that Nikki dropped down the drain, Bear goes to an occult.
Also, I've seen people talk about how like Nikki sees everything that's going on, but I don't think she does, because every time like she sees what's going on behind the entity or whatever, or like inside the eyes of like the possession, whatever you want to call it. But I don't think so, because every time she comes back and takes control, she wakes up in a state of like surprise or shock. Like, she doesn't know where she is, and then obviously she freaks out every time. So it's like she doesn't really, if she were to take control and she knew and saw everything 24/7 going on without her consent, she would wake up and understand where she is at all times.
Shop where
But
he
she
finds
doesn't.
the One Wish Willow. Curry Barker said that he was inspired by the Simpsons season 3 Treehouse of Horror episode. Remember, with the monkey's paw, based on the W.W. Jacobs short story about a severed monkey's paw that grants wishes with unintended consequences. Barker said that the One Wish Willow was inspired by a prank pen that he used to play with as a kid, and production designer Vivian Gray and prop master Luke Cull tracked down one of those pens and incorporated a piece of its snapping mechanism into the willow twig. For the twig, Cull used dried cactus skeletons. But the wood of
Interesting. The customer service call for this movie was really creepy.
Associated with enchantment or just the occult, but really its meaning changes.
If this video goes over it, I'm going to talk about it before it does, but if it does go over it, it was really creepy. When he asked her if he wants to talk to Nikki, and then it just pans over to her like screaming her head off, I kind of want more explanation into that. Like, I imagine it's just like, I don't know, she's in some sort of like I don't know what you would call it, dimension or like purgatory, like this guy said in the video earlier, where like I don't
culture to
know.
culture, but the snapping of a twig is also a gesture associated with
But she's just like screaming, like as if she's being terrorized, and like I
And the
wonder
trivia
if
night is hosted at Barker's Pub, a nod to writer-director Curry Barker, and the voice of the trivia host is Curry's father, Jeff Barker, a successful playwright who helped him write this movie. At the bar, as Nikki teases Bear about his pina colada order and she pays for all the drinks, it's much easier for us to see this on rewatch that it's really not at all flirting by Nikki. It's the kind of teasing a sister would do to a brother. But also notice that she calls everyone, including the bartender, babe. So you
Yeah.
can really see how Bear might have just completely misread that in the past as an affectionate term that was just exclusively for him.
Okay.
Ian
Okay.
interrupts Bear as he tries to tell Nikki his feelings.
Also, this is another thing about Ian. This is a part of the sabotage I didn't even realize. I thought he was just like a frat guy idiot.
Yeah, Ian is really the world's worst wingman because, yeah, he has something to lose here. When Bear says that they should drink to Sandy, only Sarah senses Bear's sadness and comforts him about his
Also, Sarah, I didn't even realize she had a crush on him until they mentioned like that it was obvious or something like that.
dead cat.
Because I was so focused on Bear
In
being
fact, I wonder if it might have actually been Sarah who was the only one of these friends to comfort Bear about his dead grandmother, not Nikki, but Bear's fixation and obsession on Nikki caused him to reassign that memory to Nikki. Even in the parking lot outside, you can see everyone's true affections when you rewatch it. Nikki does flirtily tease Ian here, but then she stares a little too long at Bear when he just laughs too hard at her flirt, and it puts Bear in this headspace of, wait, how does she feel about me?
yeah, because she's teasing Ian and then like smirks at Bear like because he laughed at her
That kind of uncertainty is something
as if they're teaming up against Ian, even though Ian's been fucking casually hooking up with her for 2 years. Like how long has Bear been how long has Bear had this crush then?
that Curry Barker tried to place this whole movie in, because that kind of uncertainty of how other people see you is what puts you in that state of anxiety. Meanwhile, Bear doesn't even notice when Sarah's freaking begging him to come along with them. And when Sarah hugs him goodnight, notice her hand lingers on his arm and she gives him a little pick me smile. But the cinematography is so obsessed with Nikki that it's hard for us to
Yeah, I didn't pick up on
notice
any
it
of
first.
this.
Ian says, get your girl home safe, and Nikki says, ew, don't say it like that. Like Ian would be talking about her brother. And in fact, later in the car, she'll say ew again later. But Bear doesn't pick up on any of those signals. Nikki tells Bear that she's quitting the job because she needs a life change to bring love into her writing, and Bear assumes her story that she's writing is a romance, and she responds, it's not a romance, it's a love story. Bear assumes that those are the same thing, but this false assumption is really the theme of the whole film. What we consider love is not always a positive romantic force. Love also has a dark toxic flip side that's really obsession that is ultimately destructive.
Oh my God.
Bear just keeps
Forgot about that scene. Yo, what's good, Twillard?
and he tries to say goodnight to Nikki by saying, night, freaky Nikki. Yeah,
I'm watching Obsession, things you missed. So if you haven't watched it and you care about spoilers, don't watch. Tune off. Let's get a replays.
Ian's move, and it immediately backfires as Nikki is truly offended. He can't bring himself to tell her his real feelings, even when she gives an opportunity to do so. And with his plans completely foiled, he pulls out the One Wish Willow, which emits a little chime, and he says, I wish Nikki Freeman loved me more than...
The wish is so stupid. You could have worded that any other way. Yeah, don't be back in like probably I'm six minutes into 24. I'd say be back in like 30 minutes, bro. If you come back.
Even when she gives an opportunity to do so, Nikki is truly...
I mean, this is literally just like horror movie plot armor. Like, this is just to get the script going because no one's making a wish this dumb. I mean, I understand that you probably don't think it's real or that it's going to come true, but even if it wasn't true, even if you think it's fake and you're just doing it because you're upset and you just want to break it to feel better about yourself, you still wouldn't word it that way.
offended. He can't bring himself to tell her his real feelings.
She confronts him too. Does he mention this?
Night, freaky Nikki. Yeah, trying Ian's move, and it immediately backfires as Nikki is truly offended. He can't bring himself to tell her his real feelings, even when she gives an opportunity to do so. And with his plans completely foiled, he pulls
Okay, I don't think this video is gonna explain it, but I swear I remember in the movie like she almost seemed disappointed when he said that he doesn't like her. Or he couldn't bring himself to say it, so he lied and said, I like you as a friend. And she almost seemed disappointed. So that's the only time in the movie where you think maybe, like, she had feelings for him.
the One Wish Willow, which emits a little chime. And
but then there's so many other factors that, like, it was against it. Like the phone call where it's like, yeah, dude, Sarah told me that, like, her and Nikki talked about how they feel, like, about you. And, like, Nikki said she sees you as a brother, but then in this car ride home, Nikki actually asked Bear how he feels about Sarah, because I imagine that same conversation that Sarah and Nikki had, Sarah expressed her feelings for Bear,
Says, I wish Nikki Freeman
while Nikki just said, yeah, no, he's more of a brother. So I don't know.
loved me more than anyone in the fucking world, and snaps the willow.
I also don't think Ian and Nikki were ever going to be a couple, though. They were just casually hooking up because Ian was just ballsy enough to ask, I guess.
Branch. Now, the exact wording really mattered here. More than anyone in the fucking world applied a level of intensity to this love that makes it way more than what it might have been, just sweet affection that never ever ended. Now, when Bear looks over at Nikki, even though we had heard the door close, we didn't hear it open again, and she's just suddenly on the porch, silhouetted dark in the light. She's basically a menacing spectral presence that he jumps at, kind of like the way shadowy demons often appear in horror films. Though Curry Barker and actress India Navarrete went to great lengths to make Nikki not come off as demonically possessed, as this is not a possession story, but rather she comes off as more of a whiny, possessive, jealous girlfriend.
So, like, I don't know if you missed word. It's definitely like a possession thing, because it's not demonic, though, I would say. It's like, because the wish works in literally any way you want it to. This is just what he wished, which is why I think they're making a second movie, if not mistaken, of the same, like, universe where Wish Willow works. It's because you can just spin this off into multiple different POVs of people's stories that have made a wish. The wish is like it's like a neutral entity. It's like, I don't know, it's like almost like a magic cast. You might even not even call it a possession. Like, she was just magically casted. And then sometimes she breaks the spell, or like sometimes she takes over the spell. So like, you don't have to call it a possession, because later in the movie, Ian literally wishes for $1 billion and it starts flying on his head, like falling down on his head. So the wish works in any way you want it to.
Nikki seems off. There is no glimpse of any of her former self here.
Like, it's not like there's a demonic possession that's like getting gratification or like enjoyment out of this. This is literally just like a wish that happened. It can go any sort of way. It's not like there's a demon that's assigned to each person that makes a wish. Like, it literally is almost just like a magic cast.
Over obsessed with Bear's cat, and she thinks it was her cat for a second, and then she just starts glitching, saying, I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah. Yeah, Navarrete is just so nuanced and controlled here.
I wish this video used like scenes in the movie with clips.
New presence as Wish corrupted Nikki. It's not a demon, it's a new presence created by the wish that has taken over Nikki's full body and mind, singularly focused on an obsession on Bear, forcing real Nikki into the back seat in a kind of purgatory state where she can see, feel, and experience everything that's happening to her.
I don't think she can.
But real Nikki briefly surfaces again here, saying, what the fuck? But then Wish corrupted Nikki regains control.
I don't know, man. Maybe. No, because I can understand the first time she'd be surprised, because she's like literally just saw herself in purgatory and now she's back. But if you're seeing everything through the eyes of the possession, or whatever you want to call it, in the back seat per se, she wouldn't be so like flustered or like in a shock state every time she takes control throughout this movie. Like, unless it's like confirmed by the director that she actually did see, feel everything, hear everything that was going on. I think I believe that she heard everything. I don't think she saw with her eyes, because again, she woke up every time with control. Every time she woke up, it was in a shock state.
Teasingly, as she lies about her dad dying to manipulate Bear into spending the night with her. Witch corrupted Nikki gets Bear to sleep in bed with her, and as she makes out with him, real Nikki resurfaces again. But witch controlled Nikki regains control and apologizes and calls a reaction a panic attack, and then just starts sobbing. As she sleeps, Bear researches the One Wish Willow, where the search results say it's a vintage toy from the 80s whose effects are debated as the Mandela effect. On a Reddit alternative called Threadit, the comments all alternate yes and no on whether it actually works. Actually, there's a comment by Berenstain Bear Facts referring to that Mandela effect conspiracy theory, claiming that this poster's mom was ugly her entire life but is gorgeous now and doesn't even look old. After he goes back into the bedroom, Wish corrupted Nikki is once again silhouetted in shadow by backlight staring right at him.
The lighting in this movie is incredible.
She's made breakfast for him, and as he walks into the kitchen and looks at the floor, there is a very quick creepy shot.
I did see this. I did not miss that.
quickly darts across the doorway behind him, but then the camera tilts down to see Nikki had taken Sandy the cat's corpse out as a kind of memorial. Yes, because obsession is not real love, obsession has no empathy. Obsession is what drives the characters in Stephen King's Pet Sematary to grotesquely unearth dead things that should have stayed buried, just like this. As Bear tells Ian at work what happened, literally the moment witch-corrupted Nikki gets to the register, out of focus in the background, she slowly turns to stare at the back of Bear's head, and every
Yeah,
time we
she
cut back to Bear
doesn't.
for the next 3 minutes, we still see the blurry shape of her face just
I didn't
staring
miss
and
that either.
frozen. She
I don't think
doesn't
that I don't think that was hard to miss. It was like you could tell she was looking at them talking the whole time.
the entire time. Later, when looking at the side effects of MDMA, we see that Bear's recent searches include yesterday, classic romance movies.
Like I didn't see this because it doesn't pan on this. This is literally like a screenshot. They're like in the movie. There's no way. I don't think they give you enough time to read every single chat that he's had with Genie LM. Also, the fact that it's called Genie as if he made a wish too. Cool little Easter egg, a little slip in, whatever you want to call it. The language, the font seems a little weird too.
How to play Green Day's
What are the side effects on Molly?
basket case on Marimba. Last 7 days, how to woo a girl, how to impress a girl, how to flirt, how to know you've been friend zoned. Back in July,
Jesus Christ.
oxycodone, and in June, nursing homes, old people homes. Yeah, it's a reverse history of Bear finding a home for his grandmother and then researching the effects of oxy, and then at that point becoming infatuated with Nikki at work. Yeah, his infatuation seems like a very recent thing, kind of a resurfaced 7 years too late promposal, as Ian described it. Now, in this profile shot, witch-cryptid Nikki is hidden in the background as we see her shadows shift into motion and the
I only saw the movement
curtains to the
of
front door.
this.
She's now wearing a flirty red dress, and in the close-up on the front doorstep, there's an odd light reflected in her eyes. At this point, she manipulates Bear's anxieties over possibly taking advantage of a woman who is under the influence of drugs. But all it really takes is witch-corrupted Nikki saying she might like him, saying, would it freak you out if I did? Yeah, suddenly embracing the freaky Nikki nomenclature, and then bam, they're off to the races. Curry Barker hilariously shoots this as kind of a rom-com date montage set to sweet music.
I wonder what, like, I guess changed because the possession, I'm just gonna call it possession for this video. It only gets worse. And I don't know, I guess it's because Bear like starts to fall out of love or out of this fake love scenario in his head. Like it starts to get old
But it's all very creepy
to him.
knowing what Nikki's already done. They giggle over a meme that says, I want to wear your skin as a sweater. Ugh. And you'll notice here that witch-corrupted Nikki starts wearing a headband, just like that easily impressed waitress in the opening scene. There's a few shots of them watching a movie together.
I think this is a reach. I don't even think this is like true.
And witch-corrupted Nikki keeps staring at him, and Bear, as if he's had to do this a bunch of times, moves her chin back to face the TV. Like he's still found comfort in just living with this scary presence, even though he knows it's not natural.
Yeah, I don't know, man. And this is literally just a part of the horror movie plot. This is like not normal. Bear is not normal for just like being able to live like this.
Your financial info is yours, but it's easy to feel like you don't have any control over
Okay,
it.
is this a sponsor?
And makes a critic nice part of your daily routine. At dinner, when Bear asks about her dad, witch-corrupted Nikki picks up a knife. It's just a butter knife, but still a knife, and changes the subject. Bear jokes that he wants to become a food critic called 3 Bite Bailey, and of course, she's gonna remember this.
I don't think the wish possessed Nikki. I don't think this is a misfeatured or something you missed in the movie. Because like when picking up the knife, she's so obsessed with him that she would never hurt him. So like this wasn't even a thought that probably crossed the wish's mind to like hurt him.
Witch-corrupted Nikki picks up a knife. It's just a butter knife, but still a knife, and changes the subject. Bear jokes that he wants to become a food critic called 3 Bite Bailey, and of course, she's gonna remember this tidbit. Ian calls Bear to say Nikki lied about her dad's cancer, and Bear takes this call under this tree design in the wall that
I did miss this.
visually
It's supposedly a
reminds us
willow
of the
tree
result of the
design.
willow branch that he broke. It's so creepy to see witch-corrupted Nikki in the background just stepping out to watch Bear and then step behind the wall, freaking us out, thinking that she's gonna suddenly pop around the corner. But he goes back to the table and confronts Nikki about her dad.
No, don't do that! I thought we were having a nice day.
Yes, that manic repeated, no.
I wish, oh my god, this movie could have gone so many different ways. I wish like he was a normal guy and just actually like talked to the possessed Nikki. Because apparently this thing was aware that it was like a wish as soon as it was brought upon the real Nikki. Like later on, there's no denying that it's aware because spoilers again, whatever. She fucking kills Sarah, and then she finally goes, "This is kind of your fault, Bear. You wish this, so now you have to like help me, so like hide her body." So like, I think that's the only time in the movie where the possessed wish Nikki actually is like telling the crowd almost that's watching, like, yeah, I'm aware that like you wish this, like I'm in a possessive state. But before that, I wish Bear actually just had a conversation and be like, hey, like, do you know you're possessed? Like, do you know that like, but the thing was aware the whole time supposedly.
We have Georgina's moment in Jordan Peele's Get Out when Chris confronts her.
Oh, no. No. No, 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 no.
After sex, we get the
Like after I don't know where I was going. I just lost my train of thought after that clip.
creepiest scene of the movie. Bear looks for Nikki in his dark bedroom, and at first we don't see her, but kind of like the iconic shot in Ari Aster's Hereditary that allowed the viewer's eye to gradually adjust to the darkness, we now see wish-corrupted Nikki in plain sight, slinking out of the shadow in the corner at an unnatural speed and fluidity, and then after way too calmly talking to him, she retreats with the same odd fluidity back into the darkness of that corner, and it looks like Curry Barker actually used some reverse photography for many of the movements here. She says, "I don't like my dreams," and then her voice distorts and says, "I feel like you don't love me as much as I do, like it's not mutual."
Like, dude, if I was Bear, he lets so many things go just because he's a freak. I don't know, man. I would have called it quits at that point, but I guess he's literally like psychotically like obsessed with her that he lets almost everything go until it gets too far.
Oh, and her full face distorts as well.
Like his point, his crossing point where he finally like this has got to stop is way further than what I think a normal person would do.
So that she doesn't even look like herself, but it's kind of like a trick on our eyes because it's so dark we can't even make out her facial features, and her lips certainly do not match her words here. Now, of course, she doesn't like her dreams because in her dreams she has to share her subconscious with the real Nikki. The next morning, Bear notices wish-corrupted Nikki had cut some of his hair and confronts her about it, but notice that she's reading a book upside down here.
I didn't notice this first time watch.
Staring at it blankly, trying to look cute when Bear walked in. Nikki blames her behavior on just a bad dream and smiles extra tight. Curry Barker said that he watched the movie Pearl with the cast, and this smile looks a lot like Mia Goth's iconic forced smile at the end of that film. Somehow, this whole scene Bear missed the fact that wish-corrupted Nikki duct taped the door shut. I love the gag of him just gradually prying the door open.
This is a good scene because the way they pan onto the door,
And the lunch that she packed
it's
for Bear,
creepy.
she put 2 Polaroids, the second of which is a selfie of her smiling while he was sleeping, labeled "Not Me." Maybe that was a subconscious cry for help from the real Nikki. Bear calls out Sarah for what Ian had said, saying that she and Nikki were talking shit about Bear being friend-zoned, a brother figure to Nikki, and Sarah says, "Look, if Ian is spreading my shit, then you should know," before her dad cuts her off with an art school rejection letter.
Imagine if Bear found out at that moment. Like, would that even change anything?
Yeah, she was about to tell Bear that Ian had been hooking up with Nikki. Unfortunately, Sarah doesn't get to tell him that until the final scene of her life. Had Bear found that out sooner, he may not have gone through the next couple things he goes through. Now here, Sarah says, "Your lunch smells weird." And this is after he took a big bite of that sandwich where like a piece of the meat definitely dangled from his mouth. Ugh. And she reads the back of the note that says, "What's the verdict? Cat." As Bear realizes
That was
Nikki
so
had made him
nasty.
a literal sandy witch. Ian accuses Bear of taking advantage of Nikki during her mental episode that he thinks she's going through.
If this video goes over it, Ian accuses Bear of taking advantage of Nikki, and later in the movie, Sarah accuses Nikki of taking advantage of Bear. Now, I don't know if that's because the movie wanted you to feel that way, like Ian's trying to sabotage or trying to make Bear seem like, you know, whatever, and then Sarah likes Ian, so she's saying that Nikki's taking advantage of him, or if that's just like what it turned into because of what happened later in the movie.
Tells Bear that she thinks
Oh,
Nikki's
it's
taking
talking about
advantage
it.
of him, depending on his puppy love instead of going to therapy. Just kind of an interesting dichotomy
Yeah.
between the relationships there. Bear calls the Tabby Cat customer support line.
I just want to know if I can, like...
This guy's a freak. The fact that he didn't even want to cancel the wish, he wanted to alter it, so he wanted to keep her under a lure, like under a spell. He didn't want to let her go.
alter it a little. I'm sorry, we don't really do that.
This is the voice of director Curry Barker himself. This whole idea of the company refusing to alter wishes or even cancel wishes kind of comes from Barker just refusing to develop any lore or backstory for the One Witch Willow for this movie. He considers that not his job as a director and wants to leave it open for interpretation. And I kind of love that. But the operator does say that only death can break the spell over Nikki and that Bear has a moral obligation to be there for her. Then the operator allows Bear to hear the real Nikki, who just screams in agony. Yes, I love the horrifying implication that this company somehow has access to whatever mental suffering may result from its customers' wishes. At Ian's party, Wishcrept and Nikki laughs.
I wish it showed the
way
clip
too
of her
hard at this
screaming.
simple joke. Yeah, another red flag that you brought the wrong person to a party. Drawing a Jenga brick that
The room
required
gets
her
so
to embarrass
silent.
herself or say some secret. Wishcrept and Nikki recites this passage from her story. And forgive me, but I'm now going to say the whole thing. The air was charged by the distant call of the night bird. His face was obscured, but I knew he was looking at my chest, each side stretching recently matured to different sizes. Hansel, come lay with me like the old woman taught us when we were children, I said. He closed the door and leaned against it. You're not my wife, Gretel, he said. I'm more than your wife, I'm your sister. Hansel flinched and
I swear they could play clips without being copyrighted.
reached for the door handle. I knew he would not leave this place. He would relent and choose to be inside me like he had many nights before. If not, I would fillet his meaty forearm, roll it like a stick of licorice, and insert the flesh between my legs. Hansel is my soul. Love only the branch of a willow tree could conjure. Brother, you will be inside me tonight. Hey, this movie stole my wedding vows! So, okay, this disgusting, incestuous Hansel and Gretel monologue was written by Curry's playwright father, Jeff Barker.
I don't know what I'm supposed to be missing here. I did notice like she was basically saying like only a willow tree conjure, whatever the fuck. I did notice that while watching the first time. I didn't realize it was a rewrite of Hansel and Gretel.
And it really does
Whatever.
speak to the way real Nikki said that she saw Bear as a brother, mixed with the way Wishcrept and Nikki
But I guess it like people can say this is like the subconscious of a real Nikki. But honestly, maybe this is just something I miss in terms of this is like the possessive Nikki saying like I'm aware, like I'm a wish. Like I'm only this obsessed with you because you wish this upon me.
does speak to the way real Nikki said that she saw Bear as a brother, mixed
Also
with
the
way
brother thing,
Wishcrept
yeah.
and Nikki desires him sexually. Wishcrept and Nikki is really trying to do some of the creative writing that real Nikki was struggling with due to writer's block, and it all comes out in this grotesque way that she thinks will turn Bear on. Bear
Also the fact that no one acknowledged, especially the friend group, Ian, and I guess Sarah, I'll give her props because she talked to Ian late at night and saying what the fuck happened at the party, what is wrong with Nikki. I don't think Ian even mentioned or tried to pull Bear
draws a
aside.
block to kiss the person on his left, meaning Sarah, and Wishcrept and Nikki hits us with this iconic pouty frown and drags Sarah out of the way and then puckers for a smooch. Real Nikki surfaces here and smashes a bottle to stab herself in the face twice before Wishcrept and Nikki regains control. I
Yeah.
love Bear's reaction in this moment. He's horrified at first, but then he just kind of resigns and shuts down as he fully knows what he is committed to. Curry Barker revealed something interesting about this house. They shot this movie in fall of 2024 in the Burbank area, and then in January of 2025, the house where they shot this scene burned down in the LA fires.
Oh my
making
God.
This movie kind of part of the cursed history when it comes to iconic horror films and real-life fires that consume the sets. During the filming of The Exorcist, a bird flew into a circuit box and burned down the McNeil family home set, but Reagan's bedroom was untouched by the flames. Ooh. Back home,
Ooh.
Bear asks Wishcrept and Nikki, does Nikki like me? Is Nikki happy? Yeah, he's trying to break
Like he finally has this conversation, but he still has it in such a stupid way.
through, and he knows for sure it's not really her when she embraces the nickname.
I'm your freaky Nikki.
Now there is a moment when Bear is almost swayed by Wishcrept and Nikki saying, I love you in every reality, but then she freaks him out again by reversing back into the shadows of the doorway.
This was
Yes,
insanely
more
creepy.
reverse photography used there and threats
Again, I wish this breakdown video used more actual clips, but it
herself
just
if he
doesn't.
leaves. So he stays that night, but then after slipping out of bed to meet Sarah, the real Nikki calls to him while Wishcrept and Nikki
If you weren't already convinced that Bear was the villain, this was your convincing point. If you still are not convinced after this point, you are also a villain.
Nikki sleeps, begging Bear to kill her. But Bear responds, what would be so bad about
Yeah, dude, the fact that you're getting offended at that You're disgusting. You're
Being with
crazy.
me. Yeah, at this point, we know Bear deserves everything bad that's coming his
Thank
way.
you. Yeah,
But
I
there is a
mean that
sweet
that is literally like the convincing point if you weren't already convinced that Bear is literally just like selfish.
moment, a false victory with Bear and Sarah that just gets ruined when Wish Crypt and Nikki smashes through the glass and smashes Sarah's face against a brick.
I didn't realize it was a brick at first. I thought it was just sheer possessive like demonic strength. I'm not gonna lie. Like I guess it makes sense now because if this possessive thing actually had like demonic strength, she would be able to break down the door when Bear was trying to kill himself, or really do anything. But
Wish Crypt and
she
Nikki
breaks
moment,
the
a
window
false
with the
victory
brick
with
and all this
Bear
other
and
jazz.
Sarah that-
Also, this doesn't get talked about. I don't know if this video will talk about it. How? I looked it up. I had to. How does possessed Nikki know where Bear is at this point in time? The real Nikki says that she's sleeping. The entity, we'll call it. Bear sneaks off after deciding not to kill and end real Nikki's suffering. But then, while they're having this very genuine moment, and Bear actually might be falling for Sarah because she actually likes him and it's not obsession. How does the possessed Nikki know where they are? Like, is this not like this is not something like a minute from their house? I doubt it.
ruined when Wish Crypt and Nikki smashes through the glass.
I don't think
and
this is like walking distance from their house where Sarah's just pulled outside their house with her headlights on. You know what I mean? Like,
smashes Sarah.
so like this leaves it up to the viewers again. Like, how is there like a possessive state where like she knows where Bear is at all times, but then at the same time, it doesn't really have its own conscious sometimes because in the scene, this scene doesn't even go over this video. Like where Bear goes off to work and Nikki has off that day while she's possessed. And so she just sits there waiting for him and doesn't move a muscle. She shits on herself, pukes. There's so much weird goo all over her when he gets back from work. And she just sat there the whole time, didn't move. And then same thing when she was trying to make herself seem like she was her own conscious, sentient being. When Bear walked in on her reading, the book was upside down. So it was like, how did she know where Bear was at this point in time?
Sarah's face against a brick. God, this is awful. It's hard to tell from the shock of this moment, but on each of the hits, if you listen closely, the brick presses against the steering wheel in a slight way that emits a little honk from the car. Oh,
I don't think I
Wish
noticed
Crypt and
that.
Nikki tells a shocked Bear, Sarah, is all your fault. You wanted this. You wished for this. So at this point, we know Wish Crypt and Nikki is aware of her very existence.
Thank you. That's the only time that the wish, not the only time, this is the starting time that the wish Nikki finally says, like, you wish for this. Like, I know I'm a wish. But it makes you, I don't know if it was confirmed by the director or not that this was actually like, the thing was aware the whole time and it was just trying to gaslight Bear this whole time.
Coming solely from Bear's wish, and she knows how these one wish willows really work. They dispose the body at the music shop. Since Bear cannot break another willow twig, he
Like, I
breaks a new
wish that conversation where she said, this is your fault, Bear. I wish they had that true, real conversation when he first did it and confirmed that she was possessed after he asked her at dinner, like, do you love me more than anybody else? And then she basically confirmed by reciting, like, I love you more than anybody else in the world.
one to Ian, but asshole Ian wishes for $1 billion and money just rains from above. For a second, I thought we were gonna see Ian.
Yeah, oh my god, he could have done that too. Like, the issue is that Bear is just a villain. This could have ended so long ago by just having anybody make the wish for him. He could have done it to Sarah. He could have gone to a random person on the street and been like, hey, can you just, for a prank video, like literally convincing of any stranger just to contradict and be like, hey, I wish Nikki Freeman would be back to normal. But again, the wishes are so vague that you don't even know how it works because there's not only one Nikki Freeman in the world.
Ian get crushed because even in $100 bill denominations, $1 billion weighs 10 metric tons and takes up the space of 10 industrial pallets. Yeah, it would easily fill Ian's living room. I guess there was an interview where Curry Barker said that even after Ian died, that money did not vanish. It still stayed in the house. So I guess the death rule only really
The cash that kept falling from the sky prompting Ian to run to Bear's house to tell him about his bizarre good fortune. According to the director Curry Barker, that money did not disappear when Ian perished. It's there. So this also goes a part of the wish. People think that the things you wish for end when you die, but I guess since it's a physical thing, it doesn't just vanish. The only reason why it would vanish is because Bear wished for something that involved him. So if he were to die, there's nothing to obsess over anymore. So again, the wish would be lifted from Nikki. In comparison to, I wish for 20 water bottles that would disappear if I died because they already got casted. And I didn't involve it with me.
Breaks the spell in cases of romantic obsession. Bear comes home to find another shrine to him.
Oh, also, before this goes into missable number 32, the whole thing with Ian being a bad friend, a wingman, a villain, a part of the movie, trying to sabotage Bear into like not getting with Nikki because Ian's been hooking up with her for 2 years. And people will say that Ian's the worst friend ever and like he's not truly a friend, he's a fake ass friend. Is this speculated anywhere? Why did Ian go to Bear's house and mention like, bro, this is real, holy shit, $1 billion? Like he didn't go Hollywood on him. I don't know, like it almost seemed like he was going to Bear to share his wealth with him. Am I tripping for saying that? I don't know. Maybe he would go Hollywood after being like unshocked from the fact that these wishes are true. Like they're real.
Made by Wishcraft Nikki that includes, it looks like some pump lotion, maybe the kind Bear would have used to, Nikki has further desecrated Sarah's corpse, and we see that Nikki is now wearing Sarah's dress, and that she is.
Yeah, I didn't realize this on the first watch. She copies Sarah after realizing that like I guess Sarah actually had feelings for him, and then Bear was like having a moment with her, and I guess the wish Nikki caught onto this, so she copies her tattoos, Sarah's tattoos. And I think she like dyes her hair or like she scalps Nikki or not Nikki, Sarah or some shit and wears her hair on her head to like,
Sarah's tattoos on her body. And since her hair has changed, she might be wearing Sarah's scalp here. Yeah, she's trying to make herself Sarah because Wishcraft Nikki is insane and she thinks that's what Bear wants.
Yeah.
Ian barges in and Wishcraft Nikki shoots him. This would be from the loaded gun that Sarah's dad kept in the music store safe that they talked about earlier in the movie. Wishcraft Nikki got it when she stayed behind to deal with Sarah's body.
Okay. That was good. I was gonna say, well, for sure this video didn't go over everything that you could have missed, but that was a really good one because I think me and almost everybody else was like wondering how she got the gun when this scene happened, and that was a perfect explanation.
Wishcraft Nikki vomits on Bear, and finally he just screams,
"I love you. I love you. I love you. I love you."
He calms her down and he ends up locking himself in the bathroom. Through the door, a completely deranged.
I mean, yeah, at this point he's just trying to like, he's literally just trying to calm her down so that he's already gone over after killing Ian. He is like, he's over it. He's like, yeah, this is my crossing point. Even after Sarah, that's why he was trying to get Ian to reverse the wish. But he was over it. He's just trying to calm her down so that he can go off to the bathroom and kill himself.
I love you. I love you. I love you.
He calms her down and he ends up locking himself in the bathroom. Through the door, a completely deranged Wishcraft Nikki says calmly, "I think we should break up." Yeah, one last emotional manipulation.
Yeah.
He cannot bring himself to pull the trigger, but he remembers his grandmother's oxy in the medicine cabinet that had killed the cat. So he ingests the pills, and before he instinctively moves to purge, we hear a chime of a one-wish willow in the other room.
Yeah. If you guys don't know what he means by this, Bear goes to the bathroom to kill himself to end all this suffering, and he doesn't do it to free Nikki. He does it to free himself, as a selfish guy would do. This whole movie, he's already if you haven't noticed, he's literally just selfish traits this whole movie. He can't do it with the gun for some reason. I feel like that would have been easier than pills. So he takes the pills, and the video doesn't go over it, but he actually brings a one-wish willow home after Ian didn't do it right. And he tries to get Nikki to do it, and she starts arguing with him. So it kind of just gets passed on and like shrugged off. And then he takes the pills instead of using the gun route. And as he goes to throw up the pills because he pussies out, he cowards out, because he doesn't actually want to end his suffering. I think he'd rather have Nikki die than him at this point. I don't know what his plan was. It doesn't go into deep lore and speculation, so it's up to us. I don't know what his plan was. I think he was literally just gonna have to try and figure it out and live with himself and hide the bodies or something like that with possessed Nikki. Either that or he was gonna try and kill Nikki, possess Nikki himself, and then figure it out from there. But he goes to puke up the pills, and you hear the chime, the song that the Wish Willow plays when you open out the box, and then you hear a break. And then as he's puking up the pills, Wish Nikki wished for Bear to be obsessed with her as much as she is obsessed with him. I imagine that's what the wish was. So instead of puking, because he was literally like pulling Trig, he was putting his fingers in his mouth trying to puke, and then before it came out, he got possessed. And so he comes out in a possessive state. They are happy for a moment. They're like kissing each other and like super smiley, super daisy, happy-go-lucky. And then he starts dying on the couch because the pills are kicking in.
We ingest the pills, and before he instinctively moves to purge, we hear a chime of a One Wish Willow in the other room and a snap, and we now have a wish-corrupted Bear, willed into existence by wish-corrupted Nikki to love her back. But the oxy kicks in as the camera moves down past the snap twig. Wish-corrupted Nikki sobs and grabs the gun, and just before she Juliets herself, Bear's death...
Oh yeah, I forgot. She was literally about to kill herself in her possessive state because Bear was dying, or it was dead in front of her. But before she's able to pull the trigger out of her obsession over him, the wish comes off, and then the real Nikki comes out.
Brings real Nikki back to the surface. Poor real Nikki completely loses it to realize her 3 best friends are all dead in the house with her. Or rather, her 2 best friends and the one guy who ruined her life. Curry Barker planned for an alternate ending where Nikki would have died as well, but they went with this option of Nikki screaming in shock. It's arguably even darker because she was the one to steal the gun from that music store that probably had security cameras, so any police investigating this are gonna pin all 3 deaths on her. Yes, a woman who committed the only crime of flashing a fleeting smile at a friend. Bravo!
Yeah, I mean, in terms of like reality, no one's gonna believe that you were in a possessed state over a wish because people don't even think the wish is true. In terms of this movie, the wish is literally just a collectible. Like, people don't actually think it's true. So when she tries to explain herself, probably she's gonna get jailed, whatever the case may be. Also, I do like this ending more than the alternate ending. I think the alternate ending is she literally just like kills herself after seeing her 3 best friends dead on the floor. So she just kills herself to end her own suffering. I do like the fact that like it's almost like even worse ending where she just endures everything and doesn't kill herself. She's like in too much of a shock state. She like pushes Bear's dead corpse off her body, looks around, and she starts making noises as like in a shock state. Like instead of like screaming her head off, she starts going like I don't know if my mic's picking that up, but if it is, she was making noises like that. And then she then goes into a terrorized scream and then starts crying. And then you hear her cry throughout the end credits.
To fellow YouTuber Curry Barker for shooting this movie for less than $1 million, getting it picked up by Focus Features and Blumhouse.
This was an
for $15
insanely
million.
well-made movie for less than $1 million. Also, I didn't realize it was Blumhouse. So I will be happily probably seeing this in Halloween Horror Nights in the next couple years.
And then being the first movie since E.T. Yes, Steven Spielberg's E.T. in 1982 to open wide and increase its box office weekend over weekend, when normally it's the opposite. Big opening and dropping off weekend over weekend. It's so successful that it convinced Universal to drop a planned June 2nd streaming date and extend its theatrical window. It's tracking to make nearly $300 million worldwide.
This movie is going to be a horror house at Halloween Horror Nights because I didn't realize it was a part of Blumhouse.
Not more than that. It's beating The Mandalorian and Grogu. That is insane success, and it speaks to the power of a simple story executed perfectly with great writing and performances.
Off of a $1 million budget. Great acting by the whole cast, especially obviously I think her name's Indy. Insane acting by her. And the lighting as well. The lighting, everything about this movie is just so undervalued for $1 million budget. Insanely well made movie. And it's not even like the premise, the idea, the prompt, whatever you want to call it, of like making a wish goes bad. it's not even like original or like, you know, it's not like something out of this world concept. It's literally just the execution. This movie was executed
with viewers.
so well.
Comment down below with your thoughts on this movie, and a special thanks to
And
one of
just
our in-
made
or
so
underrated
well.
subscribers, Paolo Bianca, for supporting us at the executive producer level. You can get all of our
Good video. There's a couple things I definitely did miss. I wish the video went over more things because there's some things in my mind that like I wish it went over that I already explained that it didn't. And then I wish it used more clips in the movie because I swear you could use more clips than this guy did and just not be copyrighted. But I don't know. Who am I to say?